All right, Kevin Hale here at Baxter's 942 in the Highlands. It's episode 363, Tuesday, December 4th, 2018. Next up, my little brother, brother,
uncle,
nephew,
what's up,
Rob Maupin. Do you go by Rob Maupin or Rob Maupin Jr.?
That's the problem, man. My dad is
Mr. Rob Maupin.
Yeah, he made a real big footprint in this town back in the day, man, and he still's rocking it out. If you search my name, you're gonna see his name, and it's kind of like.
So he's a musician as well.
Oh, absolutely, man.
And
one of the best singers
Really?
and my hero, man.
Genre too, country.
Definitely not the same genre.
Oh, okay.
He's a rock dude.
I like him already. I've got a lot of country music friends and musicians and stuff. Yeah. My go-to is rock.
Oh, without a doubt, man. I got a lot of rock influences, man, and I grew up on rock music and country music, and I don't know if that's because I got a father and a stepfather, and both men were two great men, man. But one of them was country music listener, and one was a rock dude, man. And my dad, I loved watching him play, and I learned so much stuff from him. But yeah, it was the nights in the garage lifting weights or something, listening to George Jones or Hank Williams that got me hooked on country, and the hunting trips and the fishing trips and
hunting without a G. It ends. Yeah. It's not hunting. It's right hunting.
Without a doubt, man.
And the fishing trips. You are a consummate country boy, huh? Is that fair to say?
Country, man. Country boy is a weird word because I'm not from necessarily country. I'm from Fairdale. Fairdale ain't country. It's redneck. We got, I live in Valley.
It's not gangsta.
Yeah. Oh, you got some gold teeth wearing gangsters out in Valley Station in Fairdale, but we're still in the city, and but it's just something that I fell in love with the sound of country music. It's and what they speak about, and I think
the stories that are told, and because country music to me are really good stories.
I think they used to be.
Not anymore.
I think today's country has lost something. Yeah. It's really lost something. Look, I'm a fan of all musics. I really do. At certain times I want to hear R&B. Certain times I want to hear rock music. Certain times I want to hear my heart is where it's at, but country music's lost something.
Yeah.
It's lost something.
I do listen to it. It's not my go-to, and I kind of tease like my daughter, with the Luke Bryans and Jason Aldeans. If those two cats walked in here, I wouldn't know who they were.
You wouldn't, yeah.
No, I wouldn't. I know some of their music. I don't know a lot. They're just, to me, it's kind of almost bubblegum.
Well, here's the deal. First of all, Jason Aldean, Eric Church, and I defend Luke Bryan sometimes.
Okay.
I defend Luke Bryan only because if you've heard what's coming out on the radio today, Luke Bryan sounds more and more country every day.
Okay.
Because what's coming out today sounds almost like R. Kelly, and I'm thinking, I like R. Kelly, but I'm thinking, where do we go wrong here? I don't understand it. But Jason Aldean, Eric Church, man, I still play it. Luke Bryan, I even play one Luke Bryan song, and if you ever listen to his records, he's actually got some really cool country songs on there. My songs are not my songs are not necessarily Luke Bryan-ish. They're
well. Let's go back. Before we talk your music, let's go back a little bit to your roots. How did you obviously mentioned your father, stepfather, their passion for music got you into the music thing, and you decided to go the country route. But influences besides them, was it? Give me some mainstream.
Yeah, for sure. you know, if I could roll myself up into one big ball and to say all my influences are this and that, I gotta give a big shout out to 80s hair metal. I love it. I freaking love it, man. I really do.
She got the looks that girl.
Oh man, Motley Crue, yeah. But Tesla, I just got to throw them out there as a like a reference. Tesla, if you could put Tesla, Waylon Jennings, Hank Jr., and Elvis all rolled up into one, you probably, and maybe some John Cougar, man, because John Cougar. In the 1980s, he was rock. But if you put him out here today, he'd be country music.
More country, right?
So,
buddy, I'm an Indiana boy, so.
Oh man,
I like that.
That's what I'm talking about. Ben Browne right here, man. What you got, brother? I heard you got some a new smell.
Yeah.
What's going on, dude?
What?
We can't run with that yet.
All
We got to
right.
stick with Rob. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Segment. Let's,
Yeah.
I dig it.
Ben will
We'll
hijack
get there
it
later.
Ben Browne's, man, he's a great singer, man. And I don't understand. I want to know more about you. I just.
Okay, well, can we just
We'll
wait
get
till
there.
his
Yeah,
podcast?
yeah.
Let's do
Let's
yours.
focus on you, brother.
Let's do
Let's
that.
focus on you.
All right.
I like what you're saying.
I'm just talking.
Talking about
talking
Jason Aldean and Eric Church.
80s
I like
metal.
what you're saying.
80s
metal.
Is that your deal?
I'm
Are you
an
an 80s
80s
guy?
Well, I'm a well. I like a lot of 80s music. You know, I graduated high school in '85. That gives you an idea of my age.
I was
Okay.
born in
You know,
'81, so
my first concert, it was in '83, Rupp Arena. The headline was Billy Squier.
Cool.
It was the opening act that stole the fucking show.
Who was it?
And I was hooked. I was just Def Leppard. It was the Power Mania.
Oh, what?
Oh,
Power
yeah.
Def
Mania.
Leppard was opening night for Billy Squier.
Yes, and yes, right after Power Mania came out, and it was like,
Wow.
you know, and I was, you know,
After Pyromania came out.
it was right.
That
after
was like
yeah.
the big record.
Oh, that was huge.
And then Hysteria obviously had the big.
was actually bigger.
But Pyromania
It
has
was
more
huge.
respect from the rock community.
Well, you know, Rock of Ages. You got some anthems. Yeah,
I know a lot about that stuff. I'm actually, I know too much for my age. You know what I mean? 'Cause it's
What do you-
almost
let's
like
just say you were-
like Dungeons and
what are you,
Dragons or something.
24,
Like I know way too much about the
24,
80s
25?
rock scene.
How old are you?
I'm 30.
30.
Don't be asking me that.
Well,
You can't be telling everybody that shit.
I thought you were in your 20s. I really thought you were in your 20s.
Wait a minute, we old.
Yeah, I'm
man.
old.
I know.
Got two
The fact
grandchildren.
I'm trying to pretend to be young though.
But the fact that you
Well, you look at your hair.
appreciate
You
good
got
music,
great hair, and
Thanks, bro. I appreciate that.
he's got a good beard
You
too.
got a good beard, you know.
It ain't great yet. It ain't great yet. Hey, man, I know. I'm trying to rock it, man. I'm trying to get these songs out, man. Before I get.
Wait, maybe so 30. I'm doing the math. So in 85.
I was born in 88.
Or 88. Good God. So that was like right after.
Yeah.
Power, or right after Hysteria came out.
Yeah.
88.
I don't know. I learned my dad's music, man.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt about that. I learned how to put on a show from like David Coverdale from White Snake or
Did you?
Bret Michaels, Poison.
Who was it when you were? If you were Coverdale and Whitesnake, who was your? What was her name? Connie
Tawny
Katane.
Katane.
Who was the chick on the? What was it? The Jaguar. It
was Tawny Katane,
No,
yeah.
I meant to you. Who was that? You know, if you were trying to be Coverdale, who was the chick that you envisioned on the? Not Tawny. It was your own chick.
Oh,
You know,
I
that's what
guess, man.
Yeah,
I don't know.
who-
Bobby Brown was a hot chick too, man, back in the day, right? Cherry pie.
Oh. yeah.
But no, I don't know. Who's the one I envision? I'm not sure.
All right, fair enough.
But yeah, you know what's really crazy? Seriously, I know we're getting like way off country subject right now.
Your segment, bro.
But just because I always thought about Eddie Van Halen is probably my favorite guitar player. Slash was one of my favorite guitar players. And I'm not a guitar player, just for the viewers. By the way, look me up on Rob Maupin Jr. Music, Facebook and Instagram, just to shout that out real quick. But C.C. DeVille, who was not ever
known for his
known for his guitar playing or whatever. but there was something about the way that his guitar came through the record to me. They
were great. Poison.
I enjoyed it.
They had a nice
and it made me.
man.
Oh, I loved it, man. But seriously, don't judge me on that because I like all the
glam rock, man. Wow.
Man, back in the day, dude, in the '80s, guitar playing was the shit, right?
Rob, I'm gonna tell you something right now. So my first concert that I ever went to, that was not the Beach Boys at freaking Cardinal Stadium, because that was the first concert for many, many people in Louisville.
Beatles?
This area. The Beatles. The Beach Boys.
No, I mean,
but my first concert was Michael Jackson Bad Tour at Freedom Hall. I was 9 rows from the stage. One of the most influential artists ever.
Yeah.
So, you know, you mentioned Elvis. You mentioned some iconic acts here, but that was one that had a huge impact on me. And if you look at country music, you got people like Russell Flats and Dan and Shay and others that are driving a lot of that. That really a lot of that came from the Elvis area, the Michael Jackson era, the Whitesnake, the freaking Rolling Stones. I mean, you got
so
all kinds of influences that came from there, but a lot of them also all came from the country background. Because really, if you look back to Hank, not Hank Jr., Hank Williams.
Oh, yeah.
And
without a doubt.
A lot of that soulful sound.
You better believe it. Hank Sr.
What do you think?
Was played in that garage I was telling you about. I know Hank Sr. You ever come to my show, you're going to hear some Hank Sr.
Right.
Because Hank Sr. made me... Hank Sr. speaks to my heart. See, but what you're speaking on is the same thing that, man, music's got to eat, man. Country music has to keep on changing. It's going to change, man. But Hank Williams Sr. put blues in country music.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you guys, I very doubt that y'all know who Jimmy Rogers is. You know who Jimmy Rogers is?
I've heard the name.
Jimmy Rogers come from the 1930s. He was the very first country musician to put blues in a country.
Really?
And you got to understand that Irish music, Scottish music was fused with slave music and African music. And when it come together, you got that's what American music's all about, is those two cultures,
there,
man.
I know that for a fact, but I don't think I've had any musicians after come at me with that deep with the, you know, with
that's how I've
very good,
man.
Yeah.
When you come
I think it all starts there.
Yeah, all that ethnic background that created and developed country music, that I don't think they get enough credit for. To hear somebody like you, as young as you are, to appreciate and convey that message is well needed in the music community, especially the country music community. To know that a lot of the people that may convey a misconceived message of the community, the country community, that we do appreciate and we love and respect all of that influence and try all we can to give back to it. That's the type of country musician that is needed in this. This whole genre is from somebody who understands and can commit to conveying that message. So, buddy, that's awesome.
Appreciate you.
You know that, especially as young as you are.
I'm not as young anymore, but man, I appreciate that,
buddy,
man.
me and Kevin are sitting here. You're still young.
But yeah, man, that is what it is, man. And I think that's what country music's lost. It's lost the voice of the working man. It's lost the voice. You know, back in the day, man, these two cultures really thrived together. They understood each other. Now it's so formulated. Music in general is like, we're going to do verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. And it's going to sound with these 4 chords. And it's getting boring to me.
Yeah.
But that's what people like. So it's a weird thing, man. It's a weird thing, and I want to do something different. I I'm not saying it's going to be completely different. I'm not going to say it's going to be completely off the wall or nothing like that. I just want to do whatever. The music that I write is going to come. It's not going to be based on what everybody else is doing. It's just going to come out the way it comes out, and I hope that it comes out right and everybody likes it. Man, my single came out today. The very first one.
Let's talk
it's
about
called
that,
Southern Man. Yeah. Southern Man.
The single, is it part of a album EP that eventually, or how are you doing this?
So I'm doing a single every 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
And I'm going to put a video out in between. You know, I don't know. I got 4 songs in the studio done at the moment, so I'm writing new songs now that are.
Where do we find them?
They are what they are, man. I don't know how to define them.
Where do we find them?
Find them on iTunes, man. iTunes. By the way, real quick, everything that you download on iTunes this month leading up to Christmas is being donated to the Salvation Army.
Your songs or in general?
Yeah, my song. Just the song that you download. It's 99 cents, man. Come on. If you tip me 99 cents, man, you can spend 99 cents and it's going to a good cause. Let's do it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Very cool.
Even if you
cool.
don't like the song, it doesn't matter. Just hey, it's going to a good cause. But you can also find it on Amazon. You can find it on Google Play, Spotify. And then in 6 to 8 weeks, I'm going to have a new song, man. I'm going to keep hitting you with new songs every 6 to 8 weeks.
To leading up to maybe a collection, or is this just, you're just going?
No, singles only, man.
Hey, Rob, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What's the name of your first release, your first single?
The first single's called Southern Man.
Will you tell me something? What's your favorite lyric from that song?
That's a good question. My favorite lyric is "Everything I do for my son," because the whole song, I can't say it's about my son because it's not. It's about being a Southern man, but still, I love my boy, and everything I do is for him, and I want to be successful, and I want to be successful for him.
Right.
I want him to understand that chase your dreams.
Right.
To not just accept life the way it is, man. Go for it, man. Do something. And if it don't, at least you ain't got no regrets, you know? And so that's my favorite line in the song. But the song's not necessarily about that. The song is about just holding strong to your core, knowing your values, holding strong to your faith, even when everybody around you is against you. That's kind of what it's about. It's like when everybody's saying, don't do this, don't say that, don't be like that, you just know who you are and hold true to yourself and know who you are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I hope that makes sense.
No,
you know
I'm with you, but I'm going to go a little deeper. I'm going to ask you something. Was there life experiences, something that you personally went through the last, few years that brought you to this song? Is it that deep, or?
Let me adjust that question. What's your writing process? How do you find the inspiration to convey a message like that?
It's just life, man. It's just the way I think. You know what I mean? Like everybody thinks a certain way, and that's the way it comes out. That's why we're unique. That's why everybody's music's different, because we all think differently. We all do different things, and life experience for sure. There's parts in that song that's hidden. I would say hidden because it's not so blatant why I said what I said in the song. But
Well, that's what I kind of was trying to go to.
You want to get deeper, huh?
Well, if you're ready, if you're okay to open up, if you're not, that's fine. But to me, I think every musician who writes original music, there's a rhyme and reason to their madness. There's a rhyme reason to that song.
I think there's an anger to the song,
and that's okay.
There's an anger to it, and there's a sadness to it also. Are we taking a picture?
Picture selfie time, Mr. Ben Browne. Yeah.
Sorry, had to get one in.
It's all right.
Yeah, man.
Is there anger?
I'm angry towards society. I'm angry towards the government. I don't want to go too deep into it because then you start getting into who's this and politics. I don't want to get into all that.
No, I got you. So,
but
there is
yeah,
it's a little heavy, some of it,
right?
But okay.
Have you heard it?
No, I haven't yet.
Oh, okay, cool, man. There is a 30-second clip. I shared it, Facebook, all that good stuff. Like I said, iTunes.
But it dropped today, so I'm gonna go do it after this. I'm gonna actually
hope you check it out, man.
So.
And I appreciate you, man. I'll buy you a beer. So
no tit for tat. It's all good. You're doing something that I think is not appreciated to the. It's not appreciated enough in this town, and that's original music. This town, not musicians, but the audience, the fan base, or the whoever people go out to listen. If you want to dazzle me, I want to walk into a venue and hear something that is totally unfamiliar to me, but I want to feel it. Mm-hmm. I just want to feel it. I don't even know the word, but if I listen and it resonates with me, that's my go-to.
Right.
No offense to, and I'm not calling them out, but a lot of local musicians, bands, they make they do good with their cover stuff.
That's how I make my living is covers, man.
Yeah, but you're taking it a step further. And
I'm trying to.
Yeah. And and I that's my little beef in town is that there's not enough venues that will give original musicians an opportunity to show.
You got to get around it. The only way you can do it is get around it and play covers and
you have slide to play,
your originals.
I get that. I do get it. I do get it.
I agree, man. But hey, I get it too, man. Like I understand the people. You got to give the people what they want, and that's what I try to do every night. And is if you're 50 years old and your favorite style was 80.
51.
Yeah, if you want to look, if
you're gonna call me out, just get my age right.
I'm not necessarily gonna play a lot of 80s rock, but let's just hypothetically say I play every rose has a thorn or something. But no, I would play like Dwight Yoakam for somebody that's 50, or usually like I said, I work on request, but I also play retirement homes. You know Doug Pinson because I've seen Doug Pinson.
God, Doug.
Right.
Doug is
making a living there.
Doug is a man.
He actually he posts a tour of his facility tour or whatever.
That's right. That's right.
Dude, that's a fantastic marketing boy. I love it.
It is.
And Doug's a good guy, dude. He's a good
Doug
guy.
is one of my favorite people of all time, man. Let me just shout out. I want to shout out two people in particular, Doug Pinson and Josh Bogart. Them two cats have helped me out so much.
Good people.
But I'm telling you though, Doug, man, I wouldn't be able to get through March and November without them retirement homes. When you're doing this for a living, like for real, the ball games, you're competing, man.
Right.
And you got to do that. But here's the deal, though.
So let me back up. Why do you do those retirement homes? I'm not going to give you any context.
The same reason I do every show.
What?
Because I want to make people smile. I want to make people sing along. I want to make people dance. You never know it when you see some older people get up and they start dancing.
Whether it's a retirement home
it's
or
cool,
it's
man.
us going to a venue, we are lost in that for that moment. We're in a different world.
That's why I'm there for a show.
Absolutely.
I'm there to see you entertain me because you feed off of the emotion that I get
Right.
from seeing you convey a message that I want to hear.
Exactly.
And not enough musicians realize that, and they're all looking at that dime.
Yeah.
And they're all looking at that penny.
No, I gotta have the dime.
I know,
Well,
but
But that's not why I
it
do
goes
it.
hand in
It's
hand.
definitely not why I do it.
But there's you got to have that dollar. You have to have that. You have to make that money. That's why you do this. But there are a select fraternity, sorority, whatever you want to call it, of musicians in Louisville that really understand that. And I could probably name them on two hands. I'm totally not going to do it. That being said, it's good to hear you say that
Without
because
a
you and
doubt.
I have never really connected like
Nah, man.
this. But I know a lot of them, and Kevin can attest to that. But that's why I come to shows, is they do it for the love of the people that show up and see them every night, and they do it for a living, and they'd rather live in a shithole apartment in the West End, if they've got to make people smile every night, than do something else that's not going to provide them or the people that they connect with any emotional stature in life.
It's one of the
And
greatest
that's why you
feelings,
should
period.
do music. Is if you want to do music, don't
Or
do
watching
it
them
just for you.
Sing along with you.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's not for you.
That's
The-
what it's got to be.
That's exactly
It's
what it
gotta
is.
Be for
If we were given a gift, right? Musicians, singers, we're given a gift,
yes,
but it's not a gift for me. It's a gift for you.
it's a gift. From
Well,
it's for
whatever.
Well,
all
it's
of them.
both,
It's a
gift
but
from
it's like
whatever
it's one of
to-
it comes.
Yeah,
But you gotta.
What I mean is,
it's
I
not
mean, you
for
still
you.
do- you still do-
I probably said it wrong.
You
but
still do
you know
it for
what
the
I'm saying,
chicks, though, right?
right?
That's just like a side thing.
Sometimes.
Don't say that. Don't say that. No, that's terrible. It ain't the '80s anyway,
But that's
man.
why you should do music. You should do music for
Sure, man. No, when I'm playing live, I'm looking around. I'm looking at people that are singing because I know that's the one I connected with. That's the person that I touched their heart. I took them back in memory. Songs are memories, man. You know that. Like, when that song comes on that you heard in, 5 or 6 or 10 or 20 years ago, it takes you back to a memory. And that's what songs do, man. That's what music does. It just takes you. That's what it does.
Remind me, I've got a good idea. After this, I don't want to run there. I'm just remind me.
We'll
after,
talk later. Yep.
You two, all of us after this.
But you're right, and that's the thing. That's the reason why Rob, musicians like you aren't important to the music community, not just in this market, but in every market, is because they are there to present a message and to evoke emotion into people because of their love of music, not just to make a dollar or their love of singing. And that's what breaks my heart, it is going to a show that I see somebody who's there for their own benefit. Mm-hmm. And I never go back. I won't go back to see a musician that is only there because of their appreciation for being on the stage. It's not about, it's not about.
Well, yeah.
I see what you're up, because there's a balance there. I mean, this is a job.
It's
Still a job.
It's still a job.
It is a
Right.
business, and there's a lot of things
I
that
get
go with it.
But if that's the only piece and
No.
you can see it, that's not the show that I want to go to. I don't go to a show because I'm not emotionally connected to the songs that they sing.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you an example. I just left Actors Theater before I got here. By the way, if you see this on Christmas Day and Christmas Eve, I wrote this song in 2 days, and I didn't have a lot of time to memorize it, but I had a good time regardless, and I'm kind of proud of it.
You gonna sing it?
Kind of happy. If I had my guitar, I probably would for you. I don't got it. But here's my point. Here's my point, though. Here's my point. There was so many people there, and I was still more important. It was still more important to me to make sure that they were entertained than the camera. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's just like, that's why I do this, man. I don't know. That's.
How long have you been actively, a full-time musician?
Less than 2 years.
Okay.
So, hey, I'm still learning a lot, man.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing the live thing.
Yeah,
but like as a full time, this is all I do to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, less than 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
It's a hustle, man.
It is.
It's a
how many
tough-
nights, like, how many gigs a week are you doing right now?
Summertimes are easier.
I know,
I'm just saying, summertime's easier.
Really?
Wintertime's tough.
Never been through that.
Golly, I'm learning every day, man. But you know, if I got to pick up a side job, I still got bills to pay. I still got child support, baby.
Mm-hmm.
The bills got to be paid. But you know, I'm doing fairly well. I'm having a good time. I love playing music. For
And, you know, for someone, you know, that's only been doing it for 2 years on a full-time basis, but obviously longer playing, you have a lot of you got a lot of people. You mentioned 2 people, Josh and Doug. You just got a lot of people who you can lean on and
ask for advice.
exactly.
These guys have been doing it, but it's also not just that. It's people like you, you know, people like this show and everything, and my friend Kayla Vanover at Wave 3. Everybody that shared my page, everybody that shared my song.
Yeah.
It's the people that make you who you are.
Right.
You ain't shit for real.
Right.
If people didn't like you and people
gotta-
didn't help
gotta
you,
connect
you
and resonate
cannot
with-
do
right.
nothing without everybody's else. It's a network. It's a like a big spider web, man. And you can't do it without everybody's help.
Could you imagine not having social media?
Oh my God, how the heck did people do it back then, man?
We did. I lived through it.
Oh my God,
I did it too, brother.
Early 20s. And,
it had been the hardest thing, though.
well, no, it wasn't, though. It was not, because...
No. I mean, like to be in the music business without it.
Maybe for that. But, you
Yeah,
know, then,
but-
what was it all? Poster, you know, pamphlets and flyers. On
Flyers.
Here's the thing, though. But you're gonna get some one-off. You're gonna get a few likes and a few engagements and things like that from the people that show up at your shows. Because you mentioned Facebook, but it's the ones that you make an emotional impact with, and the ones that you connect with, and the ones that really want to see you again, that are going to drive your presence and your appreciation and
follow you.
remind
share.
you how impactful making a good impression can be throughout what you do. Because it's not what you engage with that is going to get you the exposure that you need. It's the ones you impact that are going to bring other people into the message that you present. That's what you've got to drive toward as a musician and as an entertainer, and especially as a writer. Because if you have something that impactful that people are just going after and you're so excited about, and the fact that we want to listen to and we want to know the story of, it's not just the people that you engage with, it's the people that they engage with. That's the message that you need, is to resonate with those people, because they want to hear your story too. And I think you've done a good job with that based off what you've told me, and I really, really hope you get more, because I'm looking forward to seeing what you do. I
Probably also helps, you know.
Appreciate it.
He's nice to look at,
Yeah,
right?
he's
I know, right?
Damn good looking kid.
He's
too,
nice for
so
a ball goofy
just
looking,
saying.
you know.
Appreciate that.
I'm just keeping it real. Keeping it real.
You know. Don't know what to say about
Like,
that.
we got two fists of the Backstreet Boys here tonight, right here on the podcast, and the other one on stage.
Right?
The bearded ones,
Beard,
though.
yeah.
Beards are cool, though, right?
Absolutely, beards are cool, man. Yeah.
So what's next? You say you doing a single. You dropped a single today, 6 weeks or so. The next one. What's yeah? What? I mean, go ahead.
Okay, so the next thing is I'm gonna do a video for this first single. I'm gonna try to split it up. I'm gonna do a single, then 2 or 3 weeks later do a video, 2 or 3 weeks later do a video or a single, and just keep it rolling. I mean, literally for the whole year.
So it is. You've got a year's worth of. Well, you said 4.
I've got 4 songs, but I'm literally writing tunes now. I'll be back in the studio before the
You got
4 are
4
done.
finished right
There'll
now.
be some more that are coming out. I'm not going
I
to
do
stop
like
this
that.
thing.
I like that because you're keeping yourself fresh out there. You know,
Yes.
something new.
I don't want to say what I usually tell people. Because
Say it.
It's probably not right for the show.
Go ahead.
No, we're not gonna do that.
Are you worried about
I don't want to put it all out there.
vulgarness? Or
I didn't want to
what?
be vulgar. Yeah, I didn't want to do locker room talk, man.
He don't care.
But yeah, seriously, I didn't want to throw it all out there at once and then like people forget about it in 2 weeks. I want to put one. Hey, look, just keep it rolling, man. Keep on hitting.
Spoon feeding us is one way to look at it.
That's a good way to look at it, man. And so the next one, I think it's gonna be "Hello, Baby," which, by the way, my dad actually wrote the original version of it, right?
So this is within the Maupin family.
Definitely. So we're kind of like co-writers on that for sure. I mean, I've changed it a lot, but still, regardless, it doesn't matter. Like, I say we're kind of co-writers on this one, man. And even though, like, on the copyright,
does he
and
know
stuff,
that?
Hell yeah, he knows that. So, but like, me and my pops are close, man. He understands. Like, I didn't put him like down as the copyright and royalties and all that shit. But damn it, if I ever made some money, he's gonna get the money. It doesn't matter. That's
that or you're going to court, you know.
Well, hey, showing this right here.
Proof.
It's proof right here. Yeah, I said it.
There's an attorney who just says, we got it on.
I'm gonna be a dick for a minute, and I'm gonna back up to the single you got out right now.
Yeah.
And I want to see if you have the balls right now
to sing it.
Give us a little acoustic.
I don't have my guitar,
a little acapella.
I'm surprised you didn't bring it. Or bring it in.
I could have.
I mean, I could probably walk out there to Josh and say, "Hey, can I borrow a guitar for a minute?" Because there's probably
he's
got
in the
one.
middle of playing.
He's probably got an extra. He's worried about his broken string.
Where would I begin on this song?
You do it, dude. Start at the beginning.
Is there a bridge?
Just sing it through.
Do you have a bridge?
I don't think there's a bridge.
All right,
in that
then
song.
take it to. Give us the chorus.
The chorus.
Yeah.
So. Oh Lord, have mercy.
Hopefully you need another.
Make the panties drop, brother.
You need another shot.
See, can I just talk it like a poem?
No. We want to hear your voice, Rob Maupin. Right. We got to have some Rob Maupin on Shooting from the Lip.
I wave my flag and give thanks to God. Well, I ain't changing who I am. When times get bad, well, I get strong and live by the simple code of a Southern man. And that's the chorus.
That's your buddy. That was exactly what you wanted to hear.
We asked and
that was
received.
it.
Yeah.
All right.
Well delivered.
Thanks, my friend. I wish a Miller Lite would be delivered in a second. I'm getting thirsty.
Hey, Heather, where you at? Here, I'll text her.
You got her number? You think I'm joking?
Oh, that makes my day.
Yeah, man.
We got that on video and camera.
You don't have nothing on video.
That's awesome, dude.
Anyway, best nipples in town, by the way.
Oh, agreed.
Love our head. Yeah, it's one of the perks on doing a Tuesday night podcast here.
Buddy, that makes my day. You said that. I thought the same thing the first time I came out here.
What's that?
Settle down. Come on. Let's keep it real.
You have her number?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I wanted
Heather.
to know.
Yeah, Heather, she's pretty cute. Just, by the way, for all of you viewers out here, come down to Baxter's. She's got a beautiful blonde down here. She's gorgeous.
Amazing.
With the best dimples.
Best nipples in town.
Without a doubt. She's pretty cute.
Oh, my God.
So just four.
Did you say this is too South End?
No, I said it went south real fast.
Oh, it went south. Oh, okay, all right.
All right.
Okay, then.
I'm having a great time, by the way.
Let's
this is pretty cool.
Winding this segment down. This is what I call round of shots. I'm gonna throw some quirky little questions at you. Not duo.
Am I included in this?
No, just okay, a guess.
Thank God.
Yeah. I know we talked about it. If you said it, I didn't catch it. But who's the first concert you attended? Who or what first concert?
Can I say like whatever I want on this?
Oh, I would. facts are optional on this show, but why can't you just say the first?
So my first concert was also the first pair of titties I ever seen. No, it was and I was like 7 or 8 years old. My dad took me to a Cardinal Stadium, and we watched Warrant and Quiet Riot. That's wild.
Quiet Riot, no shit.
Wow.
I saw them for the first time at freaking Coyotes.
That's a cool thing.
It was pretty cool.
First set of tits.
It was. They spotlighted her. It was so awesome.
Oh, they spotlight.
I was like 8 years old.
First set that you
did me in, dude. I wanted to be a rock star the rest of my life.
that you weren't attached to as a baby, right?
This might be the best segment that I've ever heard on your show.
Great.
It was great.
Great.
But I tell you the most impactful.
All right,
one of the coolest concerts. I've seen some really great concerts, man. But one of the coolest ones was at Louisville Gardens. I seen Poison, Cinderella, Dokken and Slaughter. Wow. I mean, it did me in,
with those 4 wasn't there a gimmick name for that?
I don't know.
It was probably some.
I don't know, but I
can check. I'll check with Mark Slaughter and check what it was.
You know Mark?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So I was 12 years old, though, and that was incredible. I mean, it was insane. But I've seen Aerosmith. That was probably the best concert I've ever seen. I've seen Kiss twice. I've seen Ted Nugent. I've seen country concerts, too, but the rock concerts are the best.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying. They really are. Tesla was incredible. When I seen them at the Palace last year, that was like a bucket list thing. I wanted to see them so bad, and so when it comes to a rock, like a concert, I love country music, but I like country music because it speaks to my heart and I can listen to it anytime. But when it comes to a show, I've seen Aldean, I've seen Earth Church, I've seen Alan Jackson,
If it ain't Garth, it ain't a show.
I've heard. I've still never seen Garth.
You haven't seen Garth?
I want to see Garth
4 times.
Really?
And it's the shit.
I saw him at the freaking Nashville flood.
Wow.
He did a 4-hour concert for us. Yeah. 4 hours.
That's a dude.
That's the only country concert that I've ever seen that was just a freaking amazing show.
Well, he's at a different level.
It was awesome. I know. That's why I said, if it's country, it's Garth. If not, you got to go with everybody you just said.
Let's go. Next question. Are you a pizza fan?
Well, hell yeah.
Perfect.
I'm on the pizza tour, dude.
Perfect.
I'm on the pizza tour. I do Wicks, Beer Nose.
All right,
I used to do Derby City. Okay. I'll give him a shout out. Larry Davis, I love you, brother.
What's your favorite pizza topping? It's the Rob Maupin
pepperoni, dude.
That's it? You just want to... if you're going to build...
If I was going to make it...
You're going to build these...
It's definitely going to be like extra cheese, pepperoni, sausage, and green peppers. I love that. That's my 3.
Okay.
It's my trinity, man.
Good call.
What celebrity would you like to be most like to be stuck in an elevator with?
That's a good one. I don't really follow a lot of celebrities, man. Just one that's really super hot.
Which is? Who is?
I mean...
Oh, you're making a general...
Just any chick that's hot, dude. I don't know. I don't really have...
There's like 19 of them.
I just don't remember their names.
Okay.
So I just don't...
I got Google on my phone if you want to look them up.
Chick.
Who was that? No, there was a chick. Who was that chick in the Transformers thing?
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox. She was really hot. I know I'm probably like speaking about something that you would have said 5 years ago or something, but I mean, dude, but
she's still hot, dude.
I still like Michelle Pfeiffer. I think she's hot as hell.
Her and I have the same birthday, and I agree with you.
She's aged very well.
Yeah.
All right, what's the weirdest scar you have, and how did you get it?
Oh, no, I'm not telling you the real story. I'll tell you a different scar.
Don't be a pussy. Don't be a pussy.
Did this involve somebody's wife that you had to climb out of the bedroom window to get away from? Okay.
I shouldn't even reference it. I should have never even said anything. It's just not going to happen. You would never get it out of me.
Pansy.
But check this out, man. All the most 90% of my scars are on my eyebrows because of fighting. honestly.
Really?
Dude,
Yeah.
stop getting hit so much.
I know. I learned how to duck in 8th grade. This big boy.
Playing duck, duck, goose.
Yeah. No, but I've been hit with rings, and I've drunk. Thank God I'm a little older, and I'm calmed down.
Are you
Damn, I fought a lot back in
troublemaker?
it. I used to be.
Hothead? Really?
You asked me.
You seem like such a sweet guy.
Well,
No, I'm a very sweet, loving guy.
so back in the day, your fuse was a little.
Nah,
Someone
His
eyeballed
fuse
you
is
the
still
wrong way.
short.
I ain't no badass.
No.
I just drink a lot. And
So when you
I drank
drink,
a lot and I like to fight.
Gotcha.
Back in the day,
What's
not
your-
no more,
what-
man.
what
I'm
is
done
your-
with that stuff,
what's
dude.
your
I'm too
drink
old
of
for that
choice?
shit. I like beer and beam.
Okay.
Beer and beam and moonshine. I like those three.
I'm really disappointed at that after what I gave you.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah, Ben, dude, that was like the best. 4 Roses. Oh my God, that was the best bourbon probably I've ever tasted.
What was the last picture you took with your phone? Be honest.
Picture.
What was her name?
It was a girl, actually. That's funny that you say that, but no, I don't take a lot of pictures. It was a girl, but she asked me. She said, "Take a picture," and so I did. But that was normally I don't take a lot of pictures. If I was going to take a picture, usually it would be of me and my boy or something. No, me and my son. I'm really not a picture guy.
All right, fine.
Not
Just
really
a live
guy.
video guy that he doesn't know how to take.
Yeah. All right. Check me out live. Hey, not to conflict with your thing, I mean it's not because you guys are way bigger than me, man. But I just saying I'm doing some live videos every Tuesday and might switch or whatever. But
Where
just
are
check
you doing
me
that
out. Just live off the phone, man.
Oh,
And if
okay.
when he's
No.
getting ready to post his live video, you can tell him how to do it.
Yeah,
you get a
please.
shout out.
Yeah.
So I mean,
without a
where are
doubt.
you at? Like at home?
Man,
or
the last
anywhere, or-
3 video. Well,
Okay.
I'm sorry, I
Well,
did
you
the
said-
last one here. Me and Ben and you, and
that
we
one?
all
Oh,
just
yeah. Okay.
So, but the last 3 before that were in my house, and I have.
So this is like a every Tuesday thing. You're
It's an
trying to
every
stay
Tuesday-
That's actually a good gimmick, but
it's to
a-
keep it consistent and make sure that everybody knows that's when I'm gonna come on.
yeah.
Hey, you might ought to shout out Shooting from the Lip podcast
All day.
every time you do a live video.
I should do it.
I don't ask for that.
And you can. You didn't. I did.
Uh,
But
you
you're
can
doing
call
it on
me.
Tuesdays, man. But
I'll tell you how to
and you
do
do
it.
it all day too, man. So we might switch just because of that.
no. I record on Tuesdays, but they don't get uploaded until later.
that's
So you
right.
stay doing your thing.
Keep it
people,
on Tuesday.
People really don't.
It really doesn't matter because you're way bigger than me. It doesn't matter.
No.
He's not bigger than you.
But
yeah.
While you're gigging, Mr.
Yes, sir.
What's the worst pet peeve you have?
While I'm gigging?
Yeah.
Oh my
Free
God.
bird. Sorry.
That's one.
Sorry.
No, it's not too bad.
Wheel and Freebird.
Well, honestly though, but them people want to hear it, I play it. I don't care, man. I can't play Freebird, by the way, but Wagon Wheel. When people say it, I hate it when people say play Friends in Low Places, and it's the second song. I haven't even begun. It's like, wait, that's
So that
an
is
end
a
of
pet peeve.
that's an end of the night
Right.
kind of song.
So people start throwing that shit out early. And,
Yeah, man. Wait till we all have a good time and drink.
Right,
I want to do
yeah.
it at the end. But here's a big one. Me and Doug was talking about this. He shouted this out earlier, and I was like, he said something about the way they keep the radio playing when you're playing. Like, what are you doing? Turn the radio off.
Who does that? I mean,
But yeah, that's
I know they
probably
don't
I'm
have
not
a
going to
beer
call out
or-
venues, but I know
They
like
do
6
that.
of them.
why not?
And I tell you, the biggest one is I'm about to play a show. You know I'm going to be there at 10 o'clock. You know I'm going to be there at 8 o'clock, whatever time. And you got people sitting where I'm supposed to play. I shouldn't even say this because I shouldn't say this, but that's like
Well,
can say this,
it
just
is a
don't
pet
call out
peeve.
the venue.
I
It's
did
like,
ask
what are you
was the pet
thinking?
peeve. So there it is.
But
We get some
you
pet
know
peeve
that's
answers.
probably the bad. That's probably I shouldn't say that because all the managers that I play for, man, I love them. They're great, and they got stressful schedules, and I know that's probably the last thing on their mind is, hey, we're not supposed to sit that person there at this time.
Right.
But
But
those are the
It
things
was a pet peeve question. So
that
there
drive me
you
nuts.
go. Give me a musician, dead or alive, that you would like to play with.
George Jones.
George Jones. That's a good one.
That's my all-time favorite.
Let's see. A superpower. If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
I never really thought of something like
Well,
that.
that's okay. Good. Even better. I'm glad it's not a rehearsed answer.
Superpower that I would want to have. Man, I'm not really for all that, man. If I had a superpower, man, it would be to be probably smart or something. Like to have the right answers, the wisdom, something like that to help other people type of stuff. That's to me, that's the superheroes are the ones that can help others.
Huh?
And I think a lot of times people have spiritual issues. They definitely have emotional issues, but there's things that people need saving from that's not physical or not, you know what I mean? It's the mental ones, it's the emotional ones. I wish I had the right answers, the right things to say at the right time to help them folks. That's a superpower to me.
Next two from you, Ben.
I get 2?
Will you get two?
Okay.
And then I'll end to the last one.
All right. So, if you could ask any entertainer, dead or alive, for advice,
Yeah.
who would it be, and what would it be?
Advice, man. I don't know what advice I'd be asking for, though. How to make it to the next level is probably what I'd be asking them.
Okay,
I mean, honestly, I'm asking.
Who would it be then?
Who would it be? That's the important question.
That's
Just think back, everybody.
That's a solid question.
Dead or alive? I would ask.
alive.
Here's the deal. I'm at this level. I'm asking the guy at the next level. I'm not worried about King Daddy Legendary. George Strait can't help me get where I want to go. It's
That's
the
a
guy
good-
that's at the
that's
next
a-
level
that's
that's
a
going to
good-
help me get to where
That's
I'm
why I
going to
said
go.
dead or alive.
That's a good.
Who
You know,
is it?
the
Good
guys
one.
like Josh
Okay.
Bogart and the guys like Tyler
Okay.
Childers. Hey, that's the next level for me. That's the level I'm trying to
I
reach.
see. That's a good
Those
way
are
to
the
look at
advice,
it.
man.
You know, that's
Great
keeping it
freaking
real.
response.
That is.
That's
That's
one you're
very-
not going to get from a lot of entertainers
No.
around here.
Yeah,
Because a lot of
That's
people would have
awesome.
said, Eddie Van
Elvis
Halen.
Presley.
Yeah, exactly.
What's he
It's
know?
like
That was 50 years
Yeah,
ago,
it's-
dude.
yeah,
I mean,
that's a
I
good
want to
point.
know the guy right now doing his thing that can help me further my career.
That's a great answer. Next one, you need me to take it, and then you come up think one. What?
I'll take one more if you want to.
Go ahead. One more, and then I'll finish.
What do you think it's going to take for you to get to the next level?
Shoot, hard work, 24 hours a day, never sleeping, man. I learned something from Mr. Dynamite, James Browne, the hardest working man in show business. You watch this documentary, and it's never stopping, man. Just keep on figuring out a way to keep on, and man, I ain't stopping. I'm doing everything I possibly can. I'm gonna give it 110%.
Good.
That's it.
I'm going to throw you one more. Why do you do it?
Man, I think I do it for so many reasons. Too many reasons, man. One's to feel like I did something with my gift.
You do have you got
Right?
talent, right?
The other thing is to be an example to my son, like we spoke about earlier. Maybe make a few folks proud, you know. And lastly, to be financially stable and be happy with my career. I worked in a factory for 10 years and was an unhappy person every single day. And I don't want to ever go back to that. I want to do something that I love to do. I don't want to do that, man. I salute every one of them, and I might end up back there one day. But I'm telling you, man, that's why I do it, man, because I don't want to live unhappy every day. I want to do something. The Lord give me a gift. I want to make the best of it.
There you go.
That's my answer on that one.
Buddy, that's a good message. I just want you to know that's a great freaking response.
Thanks.
So I'm glad you responded that way.
Appreciate you,
The
man.
last one, if you had access to a time machine and you can go anywhere in the past, you're going to observe. You're not going to change the past. You're going only to observe what time frame, period, event you would like to go and see for yourself.
That's funny, man. because at first I had an answer, and then you said you only going to observe.
Yeah, I don't want you.
If I could live in a time, I would probably go back either the 70s or the 80s.
Let me rephrase
observe.
it. You're not observe / or you could live. I'm saying you can't change the past. Is what I was kind of getting.
I don't want to change it anyway,
All right.
man.
No, that's what I'm saying.
But if I could live, it'd be the 70s or the 80s.
Okay.
I take the 50s would be kind of kick ass too, man. But to observe, without a doubt, hands down, man, if I had the opportunity, I'd go back and watch Jesus. There's no doubt I'd go 2,000 years back and observe everything. I would walk with him. That's the whole reason, man. I do everything.
Would you take a semi-automatic with you and mow down those Romans?
No, sir, I would not.
You would
No,
You can't
Jesus said
change the past.
you
You already
live
said
by
that.
the sword. Nah, man, Jesus said you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Man, I would just walk with him. That's it, man.
That's a good one.
And yeah, by the way,
That's
my
probably
song
not what
does
you
say
were
gun.
expecting. I know it's not what I was expecting.
What you was thinking because of the song says, "I don't take my guns," right?
Yeah,
Yeah, you know I'm a hunter, man. I love guns, but I'm not a violent man. I don't want to kill nobody. I'd kill somebody if I had to, though. And that's a whole nother.
Good to know.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
But violence, nah, man.
Are you on America's Most Wanted?
No, sir.
You
look like it, though.
Wit Pro.
Why did I get that?
All right,
You look like it.
Rob,
Wait a minute.
tell everyone where they can find you on social media and
Oh, absolutely, man. Facebook. Am I supposed to look at the camera?
you don't have to, but
I
you
mean,
can.
you can look at me. Apparently, you had a crush on me.
No,
Like, you're gonna shout,
Yeah,
just
all
get
right,
the camera.
All right. Yeah. Hey, please come check me out. Facebook, Rob Maupin Jr. Music.
Spell
Instagram.
your last name.
I should spell it because
Yes.
it's very hard to spell. It's Maupin Jr. like the suffix JR. People actually do spell junior like out. I'm like, no, I mean the suffix.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter too. You know, I'm still learning how to use that thing, but it's
You have a
different
website
beast.
too.
the website will be available soon.
Okay.
It's not probably another week.
Okay. All right, that'll be another thing. Okay.
Hey Kev, man.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, dude, for letting me come out here.
Always, man. I got you.
It's wonderful,
I got
dude.
you. I got you, man.
And
You're
Ben Browne, man.
Rob
my
Maupin,
man, dude.
and you are one of my favorite people. I love hanging out with
Appreciate
you. I love
it,
listening to you too.
Thanks, man.
Good stuff. Thanks.
Appreciate it.
It's a good guy. He's got a great voice.
All right, second segment of the night, shooting from the lip 363 here at Baxter's 942, Tuesday, December 4th, 2018. Next up, Christen Markwell.
Yeah.
Todd Markwell. I assume you're married.
Yes,
you got
sir.
Newlyweds.
Really?
Just got married in August.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the flame still?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's attractive lady. So,
Oh, yeah.
You're an attractive guy, too. So, I mean, you're both a win-win here, right? Congratulations.
Thanks.
Thank you. We actually went to Vegas.
Did you? Did it there?
Yeah.
How long had you been courting her? As I'm digressing a little bit.
A little over 5 years.
More than 5 weeks.
He didn't meet me in Vegas and bring me home.
I was going to say, if he met you in Vegas, what were you doing in Vegas? So, 5 years?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's went.
Louisville all your lives? I mean, okay.
Born and raised.
Born
yeah.
and raised.
Yep.
Okay. Good stuff. I asked you to come on here. I had come across, and this is how I find our guests. There was something you had posted, or somehow, some way, the Forgotten Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
I want to jump in because I'm looking at, like, I'll pull up the Facebook page. There's a tagline that's serving God through serving others. Give us a little bit about the Forgotten Louisville. What's that all about? Christen?
Well, I started Forgotten Louisville probably about 13 years ago, basically just out of the trunk of my car. I have always worked in downtown Louisville, and started noticing more and more people sleeping out, and it really started to tug at my heart. My background in employment, I had worked in the medical field all of my life, and so I was thinking, you know, where does someone go if they have a chronic illness? Where does someone go that's homeless if they're suffering from cancer? And so I kind of was digging into that and finding, you know, there is free healthcare for the homeless, which is Phoenix Health Center, which is operated out of family health centers. And then, of course, we have University of Louisville where you can go and they serve the indigent population. But I thought, what could I do? And so the easiest thing that I could come up with was nutritional value, like trying to find good ways to make sure they stayed hydrated and have something healthy to eat. And that kind of just blossomed into relationship building with the folks that I met. And then I started learning what their needs were. And it just tugged at my heart, and I wanted to do more and more and more. It really all kind of started for me as a young girl. My dad was a preacher downtown Louisville on 2nd and College Street. Congregation was never really large, but our doors were always open, and people were always coming in, and they were hungry, and they needed clothes. So I never knew back then kind of what I was being groomed to do.
That's a good way to put it.
But that's kind of how I look at it. I'm an extremely compassionate person, so it's real hard for me to shut that off when I see it.
And let's keep it real. You know, when it comes to the homeless, addiction, it's a thing. And a lot of people, you can walk down the streets and just see it. I heard recently, and I'm not trying to blast the city, where they like do something, arrest or, you know, a couple of homeless people.
Yeah, so we were out doing outreach one night and got a frantic phone call from someone that was sleeping on the sidewalk of Jefferson Street across the street from Wayside. And they said that the police were there and they were issuing tickets to everybody. And I'm like, what in the world? And we went immediately there and kind of were meeting with the folks, and I looked at several of the citations, and people were being charged with sleeping on a blanket on the sidewalk. Or
what code is that?
There is one. They dug it up.
Okay.
Yeah, there is one. I didn't know it was illegal, but some were being charged with camping. All of them, and it was over 20 that were given a citation, were given a court date, which is ridiculous to me, because if someone is sleeping outside, more than likely they don't have calendars or alarm clocks,
maybe
transportation. Right. So they're going to miss a court date. They're going to get a bench warrant. They're going to go to jail. If they do show up to court, they're going to get a fine that they can't pay. So it's just ridiculous to me to tie up our already tied up criminal justice system and criminalize the homeless.
Let me ask you a question. In this case, you've got, the police making arrests, issuing not arrests, or I guess was it arrests?
No one was arrested. They were all citations. Yeah.
So the people are out there. Are they out there because we just don't have enough places in the city?
That is true, and a lot of people don't understand that, because a lot of people will drive by and see someone that is sleeping outside, and say, why don't they just go into the shelter? Well, it's not.
That is the common.
Yeah. It's not that simple. Louisville has over 6,000 homeless men, women, and children. Right now. Children. And you're not going to see that a whole lot, because parents.
All you need is one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And that I've got kids, so.
Right. But parents with children that are homeless, they are really going to be hunkered down somewhere. It may be in a car. It could be doubled up. Could be sleeping on a couch or whatever. That's still homeless. Right. But they're afraid that they would lose their children, that CPS would get involved. And that's not the case. Being homeless is not a reason for your children to be taken away from you. But we have less than 335 emergency shelter beds in the city. Those numbers don't add up. So if we only,
wait a minute, they don't have, what do you mean? Elaborate.
if we have over 6,000 homeless,
Oh, yeah.
we only have 332 shelter beds in the city.
Why is that?
I guess some would say lack of funding.
So, I mean, that's, yeah.
I would say a lot of it has to do with increased numbers that we're seeing of people experiencing homelessness.
Is there an increase? Okay.
We are. And, there's different reasons behind that. The number one cause of homelessness is lack of affordable housing. Right. Bottom line, that's what it is. So I always encourage people to lobby at a county, a city, a state, and a national level for affordable housing for sure. And then, even our jobs, like for a single parent working a minimum wage job, you would need to work about 60 hours a week.
At least, probably.
To afford a one-bedroom apartment. Yeah. And if you're a single parent, that's pretty much impossible. Who's going to take care of your child?
So this is kind of where you get involved.
So when we do outreach, it is much more than just going out and handing a sandwich or a coat to somebody. We call ourselves like a boots on the ground type operation. So we are scouring the entire city. We start out every Wednesday night in downtown Louisville on River Road. We serve a large community meal down there, and then volunteers come, they pop their trunks, they bring whatever donations they want. From there, we divide up into what we call the street teams, and we canvass the city, everywhere from the Okolona area to the Highlands, downtown, West End, South End, and I'm just learning of a couple new spots out in the East End. And we do that all night long until we run out of food and supplies.
Yeah, a lot of a misnomer in this town is, and I've had this conversation with some people, is that someone said to me, I never see homeless people outside of the downtown area. I'm like, really? You don't? I mean, I think I have. But in fairness to them, it is a high volume. Mm-hmm. Why is it per se a high volume here in the downtown area versus
that is because all of the services that are offered for the homeless are all within a small radius of each other. Yeah. So our overnight shelters, there's Wayside, there's Salvation Army, and St. Vincent de Paul. Mm. And then your places to get meals, there's Franciscans. Mm-hmm. Your day shelters, St. John's Center is downtown. The new Women's Day Shelter Up, that's downtown.
So it's
their health care is downtown.
And their health care, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Got an answer for you people. Yeah. It's and when they said that, it wasn't out of disrespect. Mm-hmm. It was just but now it makes sense. It's access.
Right. Right.
I would give a shout out to a friend of mine, local musician. Zach Longoria not too long ago had
Reverse Santa.
Did you see that he did? Props to him. That's my boy. He started the thing with Wayside and the coats, and it was just out of a Facebook post, and then next thing he's on doing the news and stuff. But that's kind of how things have to happen. Mm-hmm. He's in the music world. A lot of people know him. I know him, and he's got a lot of followers. Maybe it is. Maybe you have to get certain people involved to make things happen. And he did in that couple of days, and he's still doing stuff, and it blows me away. But I guess help me out here.
Yeah, I mean that is what's so important about what we do is not just giving supplies and food, but it's the advocacy piece. Mm-hmm. So we're getting out there and we're learning names, we're learning stories, and then we are able to advocate for them, get them plugged into services that they may not be aware of, but then also bring back that information to whether that's someone with the Common Assessment Team, which operates through Phoenix Health Center. They do a vulnerability assessment and go over the length of time someone's homeless and any type of mental health, substance use, physical health problems that they have. And they base that on a vulnerability scale. And that's how people kind of get plugged into housing options for the homeless.
Does that require you interacting with these people to try to get a diagnose or something?
It does.
Yeah,
It does a little bit.
Okay.
And so that's another huge piece of where outreach comes into play, because we're able to advocate for a person that we've known has been out for a while, and then make sure that that assessment gets done. And then also part of that assessment is getting them plugged into services, whether they may be seeking services already or to have an appointment to evaluate a mental health diagnosis. Or
Because not every homeless person has mental issues, but some do.
right, it's reported about 25%.
Is it? Okay.
That's
still-
what's reported, and I would say that that's a little low.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe
Yeah.
closer to half.
And what a lot of people don't understand, if someone's been chronically homeless, like they've been out on the streets for a long time, they're going to develop things like PTSD.
Yeah. Good point.
Because you just imagine what you deal with on a daily basis. Imagine living in fear every day, looking over your shoulder every day. You've probably have been attacked at some point. You've been, ridiculed. So I think those numbers are low. And then I think about the folks that, could just have been a paycheck away and ended up homeless, and then kind of just got stuck in the rut, and then, fall into a depression and experience everything else that goes along
Go
with
ahead,
being
Tom.
homeless.
Where all these people really have as as far as these people lose their families, and I always say this, we started out passing out brown bags and water and everything like that, and we'd make a pot of soup and take it back to them. But we didn't just go back there and say, here's something to eat. We sat down with them and built relationships with them, and we were consistent. Some of them didn't want to come out of their tents. They were isolating, but we were consistent. We come back every week, and we would ask them what they needed, or and being so consistent, they started trusting us and realizing that we really did care about them. And I've been homeless, and I'm a recovering addict myself, and I kind of speak their language, so
You're keeping it real.
I built some trust, and I feel like sometimes I give them hope, that maybe one day that they can, get out of the gutter, themselves. And so, yeah, it's more about, like she said, the advocacy piece, and just being consistent with them and building relationships, and just making them feel like people, because after being in the woods in a tent for so long, it's like they just don't even want to come out into the world,
Yeah, I'm gonna throw something at you guys, and I say this out of totally respect, no offense. There's people at the corners. You come off the ramps. There's not every one of those people are in a bind. There's a scam with some of them. Help me what
You're hitting a hot button for me. Because I don't like when
and I would, no offense.
No, not you, but just on the news, or when people are talking about panhandling. Panhandling is an issue.
All right.
Homelessness is an issue.
Right. Two different issues.
Two different issues. So everybody that's flying a sign's not homeless.
Right.
And the homeless population doesn't need to get the grief of the panhandling situation. And you're right.
You're definitely right.
A lot of those people are probably got more money in their bank account than I do.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, and what we do a lot of times, I keep, his truck now too, he's probably angry about it, but my car is like a roaming homeless shelter. I have anything and everything in there. If I see somebody in need, I can stop and, provide a tent or sleeping bag or whatever. But when I see some panhandling, like if it says I'm hungry or whatever, I keep little snack bags in my car. And just hand that right outside the window. So I don't feel like I'm trying to, turn a blind eye. And if there really is a need, I'm meeting it. And if there's really not a need.
And probably their reaction will tell you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They have a sign that says, I'm hungry, we hand them something to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And if they open that up and start eating right then and there, you're like, oh.
That's pretty real.
Yeah.
Pretty real.
Yeah.
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 Well, this is your only gig. I mean, you're only doing this, right? So, funding wise, how are you?
Everything that we do
On a
is
donation?
donations
Okay,
and
gotcha.
volunteers.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. So we do have a 501c3.
Gotcha.
So we are a nonprofit, but we don't get any kind of city or federal grant funding at all. So everything that comes in is, and I use social media like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And the community will respond. It was amazing to me when we opened up on our Facebook page and a calendar for individuals to go in and sign up to prepare a Wednesday night meal.
Is this on the Forgotten Louisville page?
It should be on the Forgotten Louisville page or maybe our volunteer group. It might be on both.
Okay.
But that calendar the entire year filled up. And I was just like,
Oh, wow.
that was amazing.
I like it too. I'm looking on the Forgotten Louisville Facebook page. You've got over 4,600 people following, which is a very good number. Infos and ads. What's okay? Never mind. I'm looking.
We have a closed group on there, the Forgotten Louisville Volunteer Group, which if people are interested, they can go in and request to join. And we keep that a closed group just because we may post like urgent needs in there or things coming up for the week. And we also want to keep that separate for those that are doing the serving versus those that we are serving.
Mm-hmm. How many people are involved on your team or whatever?
I couldn't even tell you how many people come out and volunteer. That's how big it's gotten.
Okay.
Because the only organized piece of a Wednesday night serve is that meal. So we may have 20 volunteers show up popping trunks bringing supplies, or we might have 10. Mm-hmm. And then in regards to the street teams, we probably we try to keep that as a minimum because we don't want to be driving a big caravan around going into camps and stuff like that. But we have about 12 to 15 people on the streets doing throughout the city, like going to the underpasses and into the encampments and stuff like that.
Is there ever any situations where the reception from or reaction from these people are compromises your people, or is it?
Some people will ask if it's okay to bring their kids when we're doing street outreach, and I never encourage young children to do street outreach because street outreach we can be in some vulnerable situations. But like when we do the beginning of our serve down on River Road, that's a very safe environment. It's a very organized environment. I personally have never felt unsafe before, and I think that is a big piece of the relationship building that we've done. I almost feel like I'm probably more protected than most in the city amongst that population, just because of who we are to them.
It's still scary. It's scary for me to know that, if I'm not out on a Wednesday night with her, that she's running around in a homeless camp. But for the most part, it is true. I think most of these guys would whoop some butt for her before they would ever
I'm sure.
harm her.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can be scary sometimes.
And the dynamic has changed quite a bit, I would say, in the last 10 years. Like he was mentioning, like we would hang out in the encampments with them around the fire and drink hot chocolate or something like that. And the population has changed a little bit. We have definitely a larger number of younger individuals.
Helping, you're saying?
No, that are homeless.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you get
Why is
worried, I think a big piece of that is several years ago, and I'm not for sure how many years ago, Kentucky lost some funding for the foster program that we had. So kids were aging out of foster care to the street.
Yeah. Okay.
Another thing that has changed is the meth epidemic and the heroin epidemic is just...
Oh, it's gripping the teenage and the youth right now.
It's crazy right now. Not that we didn't always have that problem, but it's worse right now. And then there's all these synthetic drugs out here now that you don't even know what's in them, and they're so cheap that the homeless population is really taking advantage of that, and the drug dealers are taking advantage of them, and it's like nothing I've ever seen before.
Yeah, it's a totally different environment when you're concerned about or need to be aware about substance use.
You know, I'd ever thought of that. You're fighting, you know, your cause. You're fighting against people who's trying to kind of prey and enable.
You know, the
you know.
spice epidemic that we have right now within our homeless population is off the chain.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
And the only way I can give you an idea of that
I've never thought of it
is
that way,
much like the crack epidemic when it happened, and it
I
was
wish you'd come out with
purposely
us.
infiltrated
you know what? I'm going to set
into.
that up. I do.
Yes.
I want to. Not a show, but I want to experience. Not experience, but I want to hang out with you guys. I want to see it.
I want you to.
No, I do want to experience it. That's the best way to put it. Okay, we'll make it happen. Okay. I'm looking. There's an events tab on your forgotten logo page. So you're past. It's showing past events. So what are those for? I mean, is that
we were trying to use that as like for our Wednesday night serves, but then that kind of got out of hand because we have done Wednesday nights for 14 years, so we don't do events for that anymore. But if there's ever like fundraiser kind of things,
the intent is for fundraising,
right?
Okay.
Right, yeah. Or if there's anything that you know that is something outside of our Wednesday night serve, then we would use an events tab for that.
Okay. I want to keep me in the loop on this because I want to. The event thing, I might maybe bring the show and bring it out.
Yeah.
Put it out there. I mean, like I said, my buddy Zach, it does. It takes a village, and and sometimes it takes that one person to help really kick start this.
Yeah. And that's a good thing about what we've done. For as long as we've done it, we've worked really hard to build relationships with other agencies. Back when we first got started, there wasn't but maybe 2 other people that did outreach. Like there wasn't outreach teams. And now we've built up a great group of people that do outreach, and we communicate with one another every single day.
Toes or anything
Not
like
at
no
all.
No egos or anything
Not
like that.
at all.
She kind of set the bar and made it kind of like a fad to do outreach, which it's kind of cool. I mean, everybody wants to do outreach now.
I mean, it's. I just think if you have a good heart and you really genuinely care for your fellow brother, sister, I mean, to me, that's kind of a no-brainer. So,
and all these groups are awesome. Like, we go, to fundraisers and all these events together, and we're all alike. We all have big hearts, and we're all just, it's like a bunch of hippies or something. Peace, love, and happiness. Let's help some people,
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, how long have you been doing this, Christen?
Probably about 14 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it started passing out like brown bags with peanut
That's
butter
simple,
sandwiches and
Yeah.
bottles of water. Just
Yeah.
a few of us. Now it's like all organized and stuff. I kind of liked it back in the day when we were just kind of passing out brown bags and
You were
water.
just winging it. Right?
Yeah, just hanging
Yeah,
out in the woods.
enjoy low key outreach. Like on a Wednesday night when we divide up, I usually see like where a team needs my help or whatever, and if they don't need me, it's like I branch off and kind of do my own thing because I love that one-on-one.
She feels like she's got some street cred. She's running around in the hood.
Well, I think she does, though. She does.
I do.
She's earned that, though. She's earned that. Yeah. I have to ask. I've noticed that I'm digressing a little bit here. Give me a story that.
We'll give a shout out to Travis King at Prophecy Inc.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is my newest one. This is actually an album cover of Blue October, their Sway album, which is our favorite, and that's our wedding date.
No.
This is the Lion and the Lamb, and the Tree of Life behind that, and that's very symbolic to me. I think about how we should interact with one another in the world that we live in, and the Lion and the Lamb should be able to lay down together, and there should be no conflict.
None. Right.
That's Roman numerals for 77. That's how many times the Bible tells us we should forgive someone.
That's really
77.
77. Did not know that.
That is Psalms 91. Johnny and June walk the line. Me and my babe have that.
Rob Maupin, you might appreciate this country music. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Final thoughts. Give us. Well, first of all, people wanting to connect with you guys, how they do that.
So they definitely can get on the Facebook page, The Forgotten Louisville, and then there is the Forgotten Louisville Volunteer Group that they can request to join. And that's where you can see needed items for the week. On our page, we do have an Amazon wish list that people can actually scroll through the Amazon wish list.
Cool.
And it's delivered right to our house.
That keeps everything clean. You know
I
what
mean,
we
good
don't
God,
ask
no
for
one wants
cash.
to go out and shop anymore.
Right.
Well, it's like it.
And we're
kinda-
not running around picking up donations from all over the place because we're not a building. We're not a building. I want a building. If anyone here is listening.
Whose idea was that Amazon thing?
It wasn't mine. It was.
I was going to say, looks and brains here. She just proved it.
Well, we
Wasn't mine.
don't really want to deal with cash. It makes.
No, you're right.
It's supposed to.
You've eliminated one step. At least one step by giving them the means of Amazon. 'Cause what's not on Amazon? So, plus you had a website too.
Right, which is not really doing too much other than I think it just runs the Facebook posting and stuff like that. If people did want to do,
Can you donate through the website though?
you should be able to. That's what I was going to say. If people wanted to do monetary donations, we do have a PayPal link on our Facebook page,
That's all.
and that is you can get a tax receipt for that. So the only expenses we really have we do have a storage unit where we store supplies and stuff like that. And then if we're ever lacking, the cold season right now, we are in desperate need all the time of little tanks of propane, the little Coleman propane tanks, and then Sterno, which is the small cans of chafing oil that people use for catering. Those actually will heat up a tent. You can cook over them. So those are two things that don't get donated a whole lot, and on nights like this, it
would be
it's life saving.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell people when we're doing outreach. It's life saving efforts that we're doing.
People die out here in this weather. We've had them die on church steps. Someone passed away just maybe a month ago.
Yeah, not too long ago. I'm on the mayor's homeless task force, and right before the last meeting that we had,
How often do they meet?
So it's not as regular as we like. In the very beginning, so it's been in effect for about a year now. And in the very beginning, we were meeting monthly for sure and trying to break up into different subcommittees. So I feel like I'm a little over it by now, because I go to those meetings and I speak my mind, and I'm speaking for the people. Like, I'm not just thinking what Tiny wants. And we just do so much talking. We just do so much talking. And I know they say it's complex and we have to think about this and plan this, that, and the other. In the meantime, people are dying. And there's been a lot of talk in the media right now about low barrier shelter, and I am a huge fan of that. I am pushing for that.
Define that real quick, people.
So it's not what Councilman David James said when he was interviewed the other day on WHAS.
I didn't see it I saw it online or something, but it didn't make sense to me.
No, so he described, what he described was a low barrier shelter was a shelter that had low walls so you can watch them to keep everybody safe. So basically what he described is penitentiary. But what low barrier shelter is I like to say the 3 Ps. So possessions. And what I mean by that is when you go into one of our current overnight shelters, you cannot bring all of your belongings in there. Pets. There are lots of homeless with pets. Some people think that's ridiculous. Like, if you can't take care of yourself, how can you take care of a pet? That is a family member to them. That is probably the only thing that brings them joy, unconditional love, something to wake up to the next day, and partners. Because in our current shelter system right now, there are over 40 families on a waiting list to get into shelter together. So if I am experiencing homelessness, I do not want to be separated from my partner. So that is a big piece of low barrier shelter. But also what that means is people that are experiencing untreated mental illness or under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Low barrier shelter should be a low number of beds per shelter, and it should have trained staff working the shelter, not people that are utilizers of the shelter, which is how our current shelter system works.
It don't even make sense to tell you if you're under the influence, you can't come in this shelter. Most of the people on the street are under the influence. That's who needs shelter, That's why they're out there. They're addicts and alcoholics or, have mental illness, It don't make
and
any
that really
sense.
is a vulnerable person when we're thinking about the cold temperatures, because if someone's under the influence,
they're going to lay out there and die.
they're going to...
They don't feel how cold it is.
That's a good point.
Yeah, like that is...
And it happens all the time.
That's crucial, and it has to. And what I said at that last meeting was, if we were experiencing a natural disaster in our city right now, they would open up emergency shelters all over the city. This is a crisis in our city right now. It's a crisis.
When we just had this, what was it? Ice storm?
Little ice storm, yeah. The first one we had of the season.
But it was early, though.
There was
70,000
people or 80,000
we
people
were without it for 4 days.
Right.
But immediately they
hotels were opened up.
And those people had shelter. They just didn't have electricity. But they immediately opened up all these shelters for these people that didn't have electricity. But what about all these homeless people out here that don't even have a roof over their head? We don't have enough shelter for them. They're people just like we are, Addiction is no different than cancer. It's an illness, and it should be treated no different than cancer. They're sick.
And with a low barrier shelter where someone felt comfortable to come in, where they knew they weren't going to get turned away or ridiculed or whatever, they are more likely going to seek services. If they know that they have a safe space that they can come to, and they know that there's somebody in there that cares about them, they're going to be able to build a relationship.
Meet a guy like me that can say, look, I was a heroin addict for 20 years, and look at me now. I own a house and a car, and I have my kids, and I have a wife.
You got married in Vegas?
Got married in Vegas to the most beautiful woman in Louisville.
Settle down over there. That's real. Keep it real.
That's the way I feel. Anyway.
I'm looking at another tagline. The love for people, the hurting, the addicted, the lost, the lonely, and the homeless.
hopeless.
Hopeless.
Does it say homeless?
No,
or
it says
hopeless?
homeless, but
Yeah.
but hopeless. It is
And that's what's huge to be. You know, he had mentioned, like he said, the metaphor of somebody getting up out of the gutter or whatever. And I get that a lot. People are like, Tiny, you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink it. And I'm like, what if it's the 19th time that you went back and they started drinking? Because nobody's going to get up out of that gutter unless you offer them a hand.
That's true.
That's something about her too. She is so persistent. She's so persistent it pissed me off when I was still in my, addiction. I couldn't get rid of this woman. She wouldn't leave me alone. Mm-hmm. Like I was in the basement. She's like, "No, you getting out of this basement. You coming up and helping me."
People need to experience hope, and that is.
I'm curious. Did you experience anything close to this or like
I've
this?
never been homeless in my life. I was raised as a preacher's daughter, so I was not allowed to listen to rock and roll music, wear certain shirts, no alcohol, no smoking cigarettes, no
boys until
right. And so I was in private school up until my junior year of high school, and all of a sudden talked my parents into letting me go to public school, and I went buck wild.
I'm sure.
Had myself a baby out of wedlock, and I experienced a lot of stuff. Fortunately for me,
this is where the TMZ part of the show is kicking in.
Right. I did experience life, and I experienced a lot of hurt in that. I experienced a lot of shame in that. And so it's really important for me that people know that they're loved, and regardless of the mistakes we're not defined by our mistakes. He's not just a drug addict, a recovering addict. That's not who he is, I wasn't just this wild teenage girl that had a baby and preacher's daughter, That's not who I am. There's much more to that.
But see,
Rob,
like I was talking about earlier, these guys have been on drugs so long and been in the woods in the tent so long, they feel like that's who they are. They don't even know that there's so much more to them. And we see that in them and help them see it in themselves. And that's what she did for me, I was on drugs for so long that my self-esteem was gone, I didn't even know that I didn't love myself anymore. And she loved me until I could love myself again. When I was in my addiction, she brought me a plant, and she says, if you take care of it, it'll grow. And I was like, what the hell does that mean?
Well, duh. But
it's sitting next to my bed, and I'm looking at it every night, and she's like, if you take care of it, it'll grow. And I'm like, okay.
Don't you hate when they're right?
Right. So eventually I started taking care of myself, and I started growing myself and loving myself again, and and so that's I just try to give back, and I've always had a heart, even though, like I said, there's so much more to people than just being an addict.
Like I said, you've been there, done that, and you're paying forward, man.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's what's important for me too, especially being raised in a Christian home and within the faith-based community. People get tossed aside real quick if you don't follow rules or sin. And you know what? Jesus died for my sins just like he died for his sins, and just like he died for the man that's sleeping on the sidewalk tonight. So
your parents, they get sick of it, and I don't blame them. We make them just as sick as we are, worrying about us, and they get fed up, and you end up in a tent in the woods. You know what I mean? And I don't blame them. I mean, that's one of my biggest regrets, is putting my family through what I put my family through, and so it's a sad disease, man, and it's just a sad thing. I was telling her earlier, I actually work in the field, helping homeless people, and it's hard, to just clock out and go home and not think about that when you're at home.
It's probably something you're not going to be able to just.
We don't.
You
we
can't
don't
turn
shut
it
off.
man.
Yeah.
It's like
You're going to bed thinking, so and so they okay.
He's out in the snow, man. You know, and in a thin jacket and still won't quit, man. And it's like, what makes him want to keep on going like that? You know, like I would have gave up a long time ago. You know, some people, man, just they
And
go
I
hard.
like
out
to
there.
remind people too when they say, I just don't understand. You know, I don't know why somebody would choose this or that. And I always come back with, be glad.
damn sure it's
be
not.
glad you don't understand it, because if you got it, you probably had been there before.
Right, exactly. That's a good point.
Yeah.
You don't want to understand.
Yeah.
Christen, Todd, great stuff. Do me a favor.
Yeah.
When you start posting stuff, tag me.
Will do.
I want to keep be in the loop. I want to share, and this is
I usually use my personal page to do a lot of the
Tagging.
blasting of when things are done not right. Within whether that's the shelter system or what's going on with the task force or whatever.
anything you're
Yeah,
doing. Keep
yeah.
me in the loop.
I will.
I'll
I
help
will.
out in any way I can.
Yeah.
I really like you to come out one day and just see.
Plan it. I'll be in
just-
touch. Yeah, I want to do that. I'm gonna do it.
It'll
And you know what? I want to do it when the conditions are
The worst.
pretty unbearable. Yeah, I want it as real as possible.
Yep.
I want it to the point where I'm complaining. And I know if I'm complaining, then
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
Yeah. And it's very sobering when you're in the frigid temps doing outreach and you're getting in your car and like you're waiting for your toes to thaw out and you know that they're still out there. It's
We've waded through waist deep water on the other side of River Road. That's all floodland, and so they didn't develop that. So the homeless population took advantage of it. But when it flooded, and it wiped. I mean, there was water up above their tents, and we were wading through water trying to save what we could or save their lives, at one point I can remember in the dark,
And people don't understand that either when they think about like the services that are offered within the homeless population. Things like that, when there is the flood is a perfect example. I mean, the one that just happened, I don't know, last year.
Was it? No, was it? Because it hit River Road.
It hit River. I mean, outreach teams were out
2 years ago. Anyways,
every
I know,
single day, and we were like, "You got to move higher. You got to move higher. Get higher." That's not any like city paid team that does that. Though this is just people doing outreach that are like
out of their goodness of their heart.
wanting to make sure that they're safe. And
we lost a guy in a flood one
sure
year. We went to go clean up, after the flood, and one of our guys was down there floating in the water.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's something. It's hard because you kind of get used to that stuff, but it's not really something you want to get used to. I mean,
I know.
somebody burned up, or somebody caught his tent on fire just a couple weeks ago, and dude was in a wheelchair, couldn't get out, and they couldn't even identify him. Yeah. It's a sad thing.
And that whole scenario too is another good reminder that the people that are sleeping outside are not getting the services that they need. Mental illness and substance use both were pretty prevalent in that campsite. So we knew the person that passed away. We knew the person that has been charged with that murder. And that's what they're calling it now.
The guy was up for housing at the time that he got killed. Yeah, he was ready to go in an apartment. Yeah. And that's not the first time that's happened either, man. We get excited for these people and we're like, oh yes, you got housing, and then next following Monday, so and so died, and we're like, oh my God,
Yeah, and it's like he said, you hear these things. It's nothing you ever get used to, though, and it is for me personally, it is a heavy weight on my shoulders, because lots of times I'm getting the call from the coroner, or like searching for next of kin, or outreach teams are trying to pull together to provide a memorial service for somebody, and it's more common, but it's never easy. I mean, it is never easy because, well, it's a human life, number one, but then especially if it's somebody that you have built relationships with within the...
It's somebody's brother or dad or uncle, or it's always, if you think about it like that, man. I couldn't imagine my dad being out in a tent in a wheelchair, dealing with some of the stuff that they're dealing with out there in the woods, man, because the mental illness, the addiction out there, I mean, golly, man, some of them people are grimy out there, man. That'll kill you in a heartbeat.
And I say this in the most, definitely without offending. It's I can't help to think you're fighting a losing battle here.
It feels like
I'm
it.
sure it does.
But it is that one.
But yeah, just if you can make a
that
difference
one.
with one,
Yeah.
then it's all worth it.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
It makes it all worth it. Yeah.
Christen Todd, thanks so much for hanging out. We'll stay in the loop. I will do my part to help shove this down everyone's throats in
All
the
right.
best way. So thanks. Good luck.
Yeah.
Keep me in the loop.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.